Every Friday from 3:05 to 4 on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM. It's the Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. Talking local sports every Friday. Getting you ready for the weekend and what lies ahead. High school sports, UConn, ECSU, and more. The Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto is brought to you by your local Dunkin' stores. Route 32 South Windham, 1015 Main Street, Willimantic, 1575 West Main Street, and 407 Jackson Street. The Friday Sports Scene. Now, here's Keith C. Rice and Jan Koivisto.
And, of course, Nick Erlinson, too. Welcome into another edition of the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene on this beautiful Friday, June the 5th. Of course, it's beautiful because it's still during the week, and once the weekend arrives, it's when the skies open up. And that's been the trend for the past 3 or 4 weeks? So yeah, it's great. It's sunny and 80 degrees while everyone's at work, and then time to go home Friday night and wake up Saturday. Oh, it's raining. Look at that. It rains right throughout the weekend. So we're in a frustrating trend, but we'll see what happens. And go figure. You know, I got a DJ a wedding on Sunday. It'll be thunderstorms, and it's outdoors, so that's going to be fun.
Well, that might be a strong tent.
They say it's good luck to have rain on your wedding day. So,
yeah, I've heard that.
That might be good for them.
I've heard that. So here we are, back for another Friday to talk sports with you. Got another jam-packed show. Gentlemen, how you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah? What's new? Anything new?
Not really.
Jan?
Looking forward to the weekend. We're going to visit my daughter in New Haven tonight.
Nice.
Grab some dinner. Then probably head back tomorrow morning. I'll stop at Mohegan Sun, bet a little bit Belmont action.
Oh, that's right. You're a big horse guy, aren't you?
Watch some horse racing over the weekend. And some socks, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Who's your pick for Belmont? I was going to go with, I forgot his name, but the Chief Wallaby. That's who I was going to go with.
I think I'm going with the 7 Commandment. There's a couple Derby horses. The horse that ran first and second in the Derby are in this one. So I'm going with a little bit of a price, number 7 Commandment. But it's really a fun day, and there's a lot of other stake races that day, and it's in Saratoga now, not at Belmont. So it's, a beautiful track. So
now there's no chance at a Triple Crown. So does that
there
take?
Is not.
You're right. Because does that take away? Now I know you're a big horse guy, but for people that want to follow for the Triple Crown, probably won't be as many eyes on the Belmont, right?
No doubt. It takes away from it doesn't take away from the bigger players or even the people that just kind of love those type of horse racing events. But yeah, there's a lot of the secondary people. Like when there's a Triple Crown, there'll be people that'll go Triple Crown opportunity. There's people that'll go buy a $2 win ticket and just save it, not cash it in. Because usually that horse going for the Triple Crown, if you bet $2, you're not going to win much money anyway. So they'll buy a ticket to kind of save it. If the horse wins the race, then they have it kind of for prosperity.
So if we had a chance at a Triple Crown, we could have did because Jan's a big horse.
Wow.
We could have had a horse racing segment here on the Dunkin' Friday Sports.
I'm not sure how many people care. People older than me, probably for the most
Jody
part.
Mack at the track. We could have Jody Mack at the track. Remember him from WFAN? Oh my goodness! It is National Donut Day. Go figure. And this is the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene. Couldn't ask for a national. This is great. National Donut Day falls on a Friday.
They're giving free donuts. I just had one.
Did you?
At Dunkin', yeah. Did you buy your drink?
I almost thought about going through the drive-thru. I got my Dunkin' latte, but what'd you get for a free donut?
I got a glazed donut.
You got a glaze? You didn't get. It's a good donut. Don't get me wrong, but
I didn't want to get all messy.
Well, glazed
donut
will
don't make it messy.
Yeah.
Jeez, if you're wiping it on my pants, every donut will make it messy. Anyway, took advantage of the free donut. Did you get a free donut today?
I did not, but now that I know, on the way to New Haven, maybe we'll stop and get a free donut.
Nash, I couldn't wait to announce that on the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene. And remember, it's not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. Although there's still people that say Dunkin' Donuts,
Dunkin', yeah.
But it's Dunkin'. But they still got a fine selection of donuts, that's for sure. Okay, and I know as Jan said, he's going to maybe see a little Belmont or do a little. Keep his eyes on the horses this weekend and mention the Red Sox. What about the NBA Finals? Game 2.
Tonight.
That's tonight. So
Is that tonight?
You're wearing a Spurs jersey. I hope you think it's. He's got his Tim Duncan jersey on. Surprised he didn't wear an A.J. Brown jersey. I was giving him crap when he walked through the door.
Yeah, I don't have.
Do you
one
have an
of those.
A.J. Brown jersey?
No, I don't have one of those.
Ah, geez, you have Nomar Garciaparra, Georgia Tech, but you don't have a. Okay, I'm surprised you. That's what, one day we should just. For the whole, not the whole
Bring
show.
all the jerseys
Or
in.
just try and name, Jan and I go back and forth naming athletes and see if you got the jersey. I would love to kill 20 minutes. You got that? Go ahead, name someone, Jan.
Well, no, I was going to say he confuses me with his teams, too, though.
I
it feels
know.
like you like them all a little bit, too.
Exactly.
I like players.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, all right.
I mean,
so you're a Duncan guy. You like Tim Duncan? Timmy?
Yeah,
D?
I like Tim Duncan.
Oh, he's great.
He was awesome.
You can't dislike Tim.
Well,
I'm a Celtics fan. I like Tim Duncan.
And I think it's his younger age a little bit, too, because I think guys that are a little bit younger, Nick's age and younger, they were fans of whatever, the video games or the cards or whatever, and they liked players. Like, we hated players. We liked our players, but that's because they were on our team. We liked the laundry. Nick's a little bit more than just the laundry.
That's pretty fair. We also had more access, I think, to more teams than just local.
True.
So.
Well, someday, one of these days, on the Duncan Friday Sports Team, we're going to go through Nick's laundry. Not his dirty laundry, his jersey laundry. All right, let's get to it. Yes, Game 2 of the Finals is tonight. We'll do the rundown as we usually do. But we'll start with Coventry Baseball, the only local team still alive in the high school baseball, softball postseason scene. Shutouts in the first 2 games, according to Jan. Thanks for helping me out with this information today. And Coventry Baseball will host Morgan tomorrow at noon. You know a thing or two about Morgan, not to bring them up again, right? But
yeah,
I thought of you. Sorry, when I was typing this.
Unfortunately, they dropped 40 points on our head, beat us by 40.
Heck of a run.
It was
but
rough.
Anyway, so Coventry Baseball against Morgan tomorrow at noon.
Let's go Coventry.
And where will that be again?
That should be at Coventry.
Coventry?
The quarterfinals are home, and then semis, I think they go to a neutral site.
If they drop 40 on Coventry, I think they win that.
I would think. If they drop 4, they might, but I don't know that the Coventry doesn't give up runs. So
E.O. Smith, Lyman, and Parish Hill Baseball all lost in the first round. Ram made it to the second round, but was beaten by Suffield 9-5 the other day. Softball, Coventry lost a tough one, 1-0 to Valley Regional. E.O. Smith, Parish Hill, Wyndham Tech all knocked out in the first round. Lyman went down to Hale Ray in the second round. Wyndham Tech baseball coach and athletic director and friend of the show, Bill O'Connor, will join us at 3:15. And Bill may have some news for us, so we'll looking forward to talking to him in a few minutes. And at 3:35, we'll be speaking with Noah Eagle. Of course, his father, Ian, does one of the liners here for the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. And we'll talk to Noah Eagle from NBC Peacock, little NBA Finals. Knicks looking to go up 2-0 tonight in San Antonio, entering a very entertaining Game 1. I don't know if you guys checked it out. I got home from, where was it? It was Wednesday night, right? I caught the second half. I had a phone call for the DJ business. That's what it was. I knew I had something going on. But what an entertaining back and forth, lead changes. And it went right down to the wire. Knicks finally pulled ahead, and they win by 10. Go figure. Knicks have not only won 12 straight, but the average margin of their victories is up to 262 points now. And as a Boston fan, and we were talking about this off the air, it kills me to say it, but the Knicks go on to sweep, or heck, even win in 5. You got to write it down as one of the most impressive runs in NBA postseason history. So we'll see what Noah's got to say about that. Of course, Noah not only knows NBA, but he's called many games for NBC Peacock, including he's the lead voice of Saturday Night College Football on NBC. He's done LA Clippers, Brooklyn Nets, NFL, NBA, Summer Olympics, French Open, and more. And he's not even 30. Impressive resume for Noah Eagle. Looking forward to talking to him. Red Sox Yankees tonight in the Bronx. Does anybody care? They kick off a weekend series. Yankees with no Aaron Judge, rib fracture. He'll be out for a month, maybe 2. 7:05 first pitch. We'll have it for you at 6:05 on WILI. Sonny Gray, who's been the only lone bright spot for the Red Sox. He'll go up against Ryan Weathers. And they finally sent Brian Bayo back down to Pawtucket. Thank God.
Those first inning woes, I
don't know what is
inexplicable. I mean, he's been. I think they probably overrated him through the years, and he probably has settled in as like a 4th or 5th starter. But he's been a 500 pitcher. This is really.
And he used to work with Pedro there for a while. I don't know what the heck happened, but again, another example. Not to go on a little Red Sox tirade. We were talking about how idiotic this organization is. Why are they handing out these contracts to players that have unproven players? Christian Campbell, Brian Bayo. I mean, this is why I bang my head against the wall with this team. They're making stupid decisions like this.
I guess if you can be wrong though when you're handing those contracts out, because if you sign them as free agents after 5 years or whatever it is, you're going to be paying them.
But you're putting a lot of pressure on these kids. I mean,
yeah,
geez.
maybe they've definitely made mistakes with those.
Wow.
That's for sure.
You don't see a lot of teams do that. The Red Sox.
Yeah.
God almighty.
Well, the Rays. I think that's where they got
it from, they're
right?
trying to be the Rays.
Rays had done it years ago with Evan Longoria and a couple other guys. And
but those guys, look what they turned out to be.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox can't be like the Rays. This is Boston.
No, I know.
The Mets have been out west all week. That's their fourth West Coast trip the first 2 months of the season.
Again?
I never seen a schedule like that. The Mets are in San Diego tonight. They were in Seattle this week. I've never seen like 4 West Coast trips within 2 months of the first 2 months of the season. Stanley Cup Finals. Very exciting game if you stayed up for the end last night. The Carolina Whaler Canes held on to beat the Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime. Series now shifts to Vegas tomorrow night, knotted at 1. And some big deals in the NFL this week. Of course, A.J. Brown, after months of speculation, ends up with his childhood favorite team. That'd be the New England Patriots. And the Pats might still be in on Diggs. Don't be surprised if Diggs comes back, too. Giants bring back Odell Beckham Jr. and Myles Garrett traded from Cleveland to the Rams. So lots to get into. Of course, the Friday sports scene runs on Dunkin'. National Donut Day. They got the new coffee chillers, the $6 meal deal. Hey, if you're thinking about free donuts, what I thought Nick was going to go with. The Fruit Punch Classic Donut. That jumped out at me off the menu. A lot of great donut selections. They got the Cloud Lattes, the Limeade, Dunkin' Refreshers. The Friday sports scene runs on Dunkin'. And we couldn't run without J. Matt Rupar, who's got homegrown following the Dunkin' Friday sports scene. And what do you got lined up today?
Let's see. I got this band Hanging Hills. Gleason, India. I think she's from New Haven. City of Iron, which I'm repping their shirt today. Rachel Zamstein, and one more, Take Note, which is like an a cappella group. So that's like a first. So that'd be cool.
That's why I love how you mix it up. All these different genres, and again, as Matt says, if it's made in Connecticut, doesn't matter if it's rap, country, bluegrass, whatever, he'll play it. So if you do music and you're from Connecticut, or you know somebody that is. Email Matt Rupar. It's matt.rupar, Rupar, @gmail.com. So homegrown, and it's, of course, sponsored by Eastern Insurance Associates, 405, following the Dunkin' Friday sports scene. As we connect with Bill O'Connor, any quick comments on Game 1 the other night? Did you guys see any Knicks Spurs Game 1?
I fell asleep in the first half, I'm afraid to say, but I did watch the highlights, and the Knicks are the best team right now.
I had pointed that out a couple weeks ago, I think, that they were deep, and that I think they could. Yeah, I mean, I think they could beat anybody.
Now they're not out of it yet, but I'm starting to think, are teams like the Spurs, maybe now, maybe it's still early, are the Knicks getting in people's heads? You never know. You got to think about that.
Curious what Noah's got to say. And to me, that was the rust game, and they showed rust from what I watched early.
That's right.
And then the rust came off, and now is the rust off, and we'll see.
I wonder if the Spurs were tired from the 7-game series.
That could have been part of it.
Maybe.
Leads went back and forth.
Because the same thing happened with Cleveland. They went 7 games, and then they were pulling ahead, and then the Knicks destroyed them the second half and came back, and then that was it.
Great second half team. All right, we got Bill O'Connor on the line. Time to talk a little Wyndham Tech and Evan and Billy O. We missed you last time, so thanks for coming back on with us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Keith. Thank you.
Now, lots going on. Of course, Wyndham Tech had the boys had the boys basketball team at the state championship. Baseball didn't finish out as you wanted it to. Why don't you give us a little quick recap on the baseball season, and then I think you got some personal news you'd like to share. So why don't you talk a little about the Wyndham Tech?
We didn't have the season we wanted. I figured we'd finish 12-8. 13-7. I said we had some personnel issues and leave it at that. And the season just did not turn out the way myself or the boys wanted it to.
We don't have to get into the personnel issue. Obviously, it sounds a little personal. Wow, I get it, personnel.
Well,
personal.
It's team issues, I should say. Kids kids deciding they do not want to play anymore.
Kind of giving up on the rest of the team, or just quitting. Literally saying, "I'm done."
They had their own reasons, but they decided to not play baseball.
Not to really follow up on that too much, because we don't think we want to dig in that, Bill. But I went to a Plainfield Wyndham game, and Wyndham played hard and played till the end, but I was standing with a buddy, and the stuff they do wrong, the base running, both teams, the base running, missing cutoffs, things like that. And I know they're both very well coached, but do you think it's more of a state of baseball? He said to me, Jan, we played every day. We were playing in our backyard. We played catch. We hit fungos to each other. Is that not happening anymore?
That is not happening anymore.
Wow.
So you're teaching on the high school
and
level.
I don't want. And this is my personal opinion. AAU baseball is ruining the sport. These kids get their 2.5 innings, 3 innings of pitching, and their 2 at bats, and they're happy. And high school baseball isn't like that. High school baseball is we play the best 9 guys, and the kids that get to play, in AAU because they're paying an absurd amount of money, so they get their 2 innings of pitching and their 2 at bats or their 3 at bats, and they're happy. They don't care if they win or lose.
Wow, this sounds like it is a
high
different.
school baseball, high school sports is about winning and losing, making the state tournament, making your league tournament.
Now, Jan might know this too, and I know, Bill, you probably know the answers. How long has AAU been involved with baseball? How long has this been going on?
I think it's all the same time.
Probably it's been over 20 years.
You didn't play AAU back in your day.
No,
Right? It was
I
probably
played
just
Legion.
after you. You played Legion. Well, that's the other thing. It's Legion baseball.
What about Legion?
I mean, my goodness
Now,
gracious.
AAU must be hurting Legion, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's killed it, more or less. At least in Connecticut.
Yeah, I would think so.
And kids have too many options.
Yeah.
Now they have video games.
Yeah.
We had video games, but it was a Nintendo.
Yeah, our parents kicked us outside, play little video games.
They didn't have that stuff. I used to ride my bicycle when I was little league age, 9, 10 years old. And I know you guys don't know much about Lebanon, but I used to live on McCall Road.
I know that. I know Lebanon, yeah.
That's on the Norwich side of Lebanon.
Yep.
And I would ride my bicycle over to my buddies Jamie Smart and Jason Chaveris down 207 on my bicycle, which is, guys, it's a 20-minute car ride from my house to over by
Sure, yep.
Now, imagine on a bicycle at 9, 10 years old. It's a 45-minute to an hour ride, and play football and basketball and wiffle ball, and then go swimming, and then come back and do it all over again. And Jay's Chaveris' mom would make us lunch, or Jamie's mom would make us lunch, and we'd have lunch and we'd play. And then I'd get on my bike at night and ride it back to my house.
Yeah,
And
you
kids
don't see
don't
any of
do
that
that
these days.
anymore. And granted, the world has changed from when we were kids.
Yep.
It's gotten a little bit hinky, but, so mom and dad now drive, but mom and dad are working in the summer. So kids don't go and play at friends' house unless they're right next door.
Yeah, you bring up great points. Bill O'Connor from Wyndham Tech joining us. That all ties into the whole winning and losing thing, And I don't want to speak for all kids. And again, I'm obviously I'm 54 years old, so I'm not speaking for that generation, or for the entire generation. But you don't see the passion, right? Am I off on that? But as far as wanting to win,
some kids. You're right, Keith. There are kids out there that absolutely love the games, love basketball, love soccer, love football, love baseball. And then and you're right, not all kids are like that. But the majority of them are,
Well, and I think like basketball, I think it has survived and even thrived. I think baseball and football are the two sports that have suffered because you need to ride your bike to somebody's house for the most part to be able to do stuff, and that's what's not happening. Basketball, you can be by yourself, you can shoot. Plus, it's the winter, so there's less to do. I do think that local high school baseball and Legion baseball, like we just talked about, just have paid the price.
So is this what is culminated with making this decision that you're about to tell us? Well, I know it's public knowledge now, but I know you texted me a couple weeks ago when it wasn't. Was it a tough decision, or when did it enter your mind? Let's say that you've retired now from baseball, but are you stepping down from athletic director too, or what?
No, I'm staying on as athletic director, but I am retiring from coaching baseball. It wasn't an easy decision. I was thinking about it last year, but I was like, I don't think I'm ready. And then this year, it was probably, I don't know, third, fourth week of the season, and it was a Saturday practice, and my alarm goes off, and I'm like, I don't want to go.
Wow.
And right there was like, okay, it's time to call it quits because this is not fun anymore.
No. And how many years
And
were
I've told my
baseball?
wife, I've told all my friends, I've said, when it becomes not fun, when I have to drag myself to practice, it's time to hang it up. And that's when I made the decision. And I kind of milled on it, was I just having a bad day?
Right, right.
All the million things that run through your mind. Because, Keith, I've been on a baseball field in the springtime and the summer since I was, 3 years old?
Yeah.
And then most of my adult life, or all of my adult life, since I was, 23 years old, 22, 23 years old, I've been coaching high school baseball, whether it was at Lyman with Marty, being his volunteer assistant for 5-6 years, learning, how to coach from him, and then being the JV coach there for 2 or 3 years, and then moving over as the head coach at Wyndham, at Tech, so it's been 37 years, 27 years, something like that. I'm not, can't do the math in my head.
What year did you start at Wyndham Tech?
2004. 2003, 2004.
And you've had some ups and downs, but I think mostly good years. You've made the state tournament, 4 or 5 years before this year. Are you the winningest baseball coach ever there? You must be.
I could be. I wouldn't know. I would have to talk to Belanger because he's my stat guy.
Yeah, Belanger probably knows.
Yeah, I know. I think I've got 200 wins, but wins were never a big deal to me.
Yep.
Yes, I wanted to win. Yeah, I'm very competitive. I want to win in tiddlywinks, But it was more about producing good, productive members of society. Teaching these kids more than just baseball. Because we all know as coaches, Jan, you know this, as coaches that kids listen to coaches more than they do their parents. On certain things. So, you talk to kids about life lessons, and Marty's always said it, and I believe this, baseball teaches you more about life than any other sport.
Are you stepping down?
Think about it. There's 9 guys out there working for one goal,
yeah.
And it's just like a job, really. If you're working in an office and you're doing a project to get some account, there's a bunch of people working together, and each person has their own piece. And if one person doesn't do their own piece, then the project fails.
Bill O'Connor from Wyndham Tech joining us, athletic director and, former baseball coach now. Some somewhat breaking news. If you haven't heard, Bill O'Connor will be stepping down as head coach of the Wyndham Tech baseball team, where he's been head coach since 2004. Now, you're not stepping down because good friend and former coach Marty Gomez is stepping down, would you? You wouldn't be trying to follow his... wait a minute. Wait a minute. When Gomez was on this show, and Jan, I don't know if Nick was here yet. Jan, you can attest to this.
I wasn't here. I listened to the show, no.
Coach Gomez kind of left the door open. I got a question for you, Mr. O'Connor. Do you and Marty Gomez have a plan in the works?
No, absolutely not.
Come on.
Keith, I am 99.9% not coaching ever again.
Ever again.
Does that mean even I know you've been involved in some youth stuff and done some camps through the years.
Well,
that means...
baseball camp, stuff like that, yes, I will do.
Good.
But I'm talking about professionally, if you want to call it that, or competitively coaching again.
Okay. Now, I know your duties, you're very busy as athletic director, so that had to play a part, I would think, as well.
Keith, it was pretty easy. The spring was a little more hectic than the fall and the winter because I'm coaching and doing athletics. But being the athletic director had played no part in the...
Okay. So it was mainly you woke up one day and you didn't feel it anymore. And it happens.
and listen...
and my wife deserves my attention in the springtime. We've been married now, since 2010, so we're going on 16 years. And she has been there every step of the way, through good times, through bad times, me coming home angry because we lost, and dealing with my bad attitude.
Are all the walls intact at the O'Connors?
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She has dealt with me, and she deserves. She has supported me through this whole time, and she deserves me to be home and my honeydew list will be cut dramatically in the summertime.
Well, go ahead and give her a shout out. What's her name?
Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Well, families do sacrifice. Families are big sacrifice. When I decided to go to Plainfield, that was definitely a talk I had. But Bill, listen, you have done a terrific job as AD there. I mean, the Wyndham Tech Sports is on the map, and you've done a great job with that. So you got a lot of work still to do.
And there's going to be big shoes to fill for Wyndham Tech baseball. We got to kind of run here in a second. We're up against the break. But one quick thing: has there been a new head coach named? Or you'll be in charge of that, right?
I put it out, and then the principal and I discuss it, and then the principal will do the hiring. But there has not been a head coach named yet. We won't do that until I'll probably put it out in the beginning of this next school year, that the position's open, and then we go from there.
Right, for a young baseball coach, and Nick, was there something you want to do? You coaching baseball?
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Get that resume going. Get it to Bill O'Connor up at. They just go to the Wyndham Tech website, right? How do they apply to be baseball coach?
You would email me, and then I would send you all the paperwork you need to fill out, and then we go from there.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much. We know we'll have you on again soon, and maybe we'll even have you in here one of these days. You're such a big friend of the show. We'll get you on the payroll eventually too. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Bill, and best of luck, and thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Bill O'Connor, athletic director and former baseball coach. Sounds weird to say that. Done such a great job since 2004, and we wish him the best. But he'll be back on soon.
Yeah, he sounds a little down, but the grind of a season, and every coach knows exactly what he's talking about. Yep. And every player knows too. High school seasons are grinds at times.
All right. Says here another coach. Okay, it's the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. Keith and Koivisto, Nick Erlinson on the other side. The great Noah Eagle from NBC Peacock. Hang out.
Hi, this is Ian Eagle, and this is the Duncan Friday Sports Scene on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM.
Well, I never thought I'd say this, but now we go from Ian Eagle to Noah Eagle on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene here on WILI on this beautiful Friday afternoon in Eastern Connecticut. And it's a pleasure to welcome in Noah Eagle. Good afternoon, Noah. Are you there?
What's happening? How we doing?
Good. Keith C. Rice, Jane Koivisto, Nick Erlinson, thanks for a few minutes. We know you're a busy guy, and busy's not the word. I mean, you're the lead voice, if I'm not mistaken, of college football on NBC, right? Saturday nights.
Yep.
He does. He's done the LA Clippers, Brooklyn Nets, NFL, NBA, Summer Olympics, French Open, and more. And he's not even 30, and it's his big time. Pleasure to have Noah Eagle on here to talk a little NBA Finals. And well, we're just talking off the air. We're pretty much Boston fans here, being in Eastern Connecticut. It's kind of a bummer that the Celtics aren't there, but we're kind of assuming you're a Knick fan. So. Taking your bias out of it. Well, are you a Knick fan? You got to be pretty happy how they've won 12 in a row, going for 13 straight tonight, right, Noah?
I'm a fan of basketball first and foremost, but I'm from New Jersey, guys. I grew up with the New Jersey Nets. I worked for the Brooklyn Nets, but bias is all out. I like to just look at this as great basketball. We got two great teams, and the Knicks are on a historically great run. I live in New York right now, so I feel the palpable buzz that comes with it in the city, and that is very real and very impressive.
Let me ask you the first game overreaction to think the Knicks are going to have an easy series here, or what are the Spurs going to do tonight?
I honestly think it just all comes down to tonight and seeing how the Spurs respond. They're incredibly young still. I know that they went through the gauntlet, especially in the conference finals, getting past the defending champs, but this is the second youngest team in the NBA Finals since that team did it to win it with Bill Walton in Portland in the late 70s. And then last year, the Thunder were the next youngest team to get to the finals and eventually win. And so now the Spurs are trying to repeat history in back-to-back years. But I think it all comes down to this game, because if you go down 0-2 and now you have to come back to New York with all of that buzz that I mentioned, then it might be a much easier path for the Knicks than maybe some expected coming into this series. But if Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs set the tone and really send a message tonight, I think we have an entirely different discussion.
Yeah, funny you should bring that up. We were talking about that off the air. I think this is probably the biggest game of the series, because I think if the Spurs go down 0-2, you can't help but think, okay, the Knicks are officially in the heads of some of these teams now, especially if they win their 13th straight tonight. And it'd be just a remarkable run. And it kind of kills me as a Boston fan to say, if they go on a sweep or even win in 5, it's got to be one of the most remarkable runs we've ever seen. Talking about the Knicks, when they go back a few years ago and when they acquired Jalen Brunson, a lot of people thought coming from Dallas, okay, he's going to be a decent role player. Are you surprised, Noah, what Jalen Brunson has turned into with the Knicks?
Yeah, I think anybody who has watched the NBA for as long as Brunson's been in there, and he was drafted the year before I started with the Clippers, so I got to see him a lot in Dallas over the first several years of my NBA broadcasting career in the 1920, 2021, and 21-22 seasons, all with Dallas, and he was a great player. I mean, I think we all knew he was a winning player, but I don't think anybody could tell you at that point that he was going to be this level of player. And he arguably has the best footwork in the NBA. He is incredibly disciplined, and most impressively, when the game requires your best, when it's clutch time, he delivers every time. And I think that is the thing when you think back to what he was in Dallas. He was a great clutch time performer then as well. And when Luka Doncic got hurt during the regular season, his final year there, he stepped up. In the playoffs to start that playoff run that went to the Western Conference Finals, he put up big-time numbers. And so we saw it towards the end, but I don't think anybody could have foreseen the level of impact he's having in potentially a championship run of this magnitude.
Sticking with Jalen Brunson, he dropped 30 the other game one. What do the Spurs need to do to contain him or kind of get their series back in game 2?
Yeah, I mean, look, we say this all the time, and you hear coaches talk about it all the time, where offense can impact defense and vice versa. And I think that you think back to that game 1, and you mentioned the word overreaction. This happens all the time, but that game was a 1-point Spurs lead with 2 minutes left. If they just make a couple more of those shots, their defense can get set. They can get their proper coverage on Brunson, and maybe they force a miss or two, and they end up winning that game. Instead, Victor Wembanyama struggles to get some consistent offense, clean looks. Stephon Castle can't make a couple open looks. Dylan Harper wasn't even in the game. And you see what ends up happening on the other end is Brunson makes the tough shots, and that's the difference in the game. And so I think part of it is just execution offensively and getting good, clean looks and making them count. And then the second part of that is, Stephon Castle is an excellent on-ball defender, and it was clear that Brunson was going to do whatever he could to get off of him. But you also think about this. The Spurs have the 1-point lead. They get the initial stop on the miss by Brunson, and then, or it wasn't Brunson, either way, the miss. Brunson is the one who gets to that offensive rebound, then relocates in the corner and hits the 3 to put them up 2, and then it was an 11-0 run from there. So you've got to corral those initial defensive boards. If you can do that, you hold them to one shot, and you are executing at a high level on the offensive end, I think a lot of the defense starts to take care of itself.
Noah Eagle from NBC and Peacock joining us here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and the WILI YouTube channel. You should subscribe for free, searching WILI Radio. I got to ask you, let's continue to talk about the Knicks. They're just so impressive. Going back to the Game 3, after Game 3 in Atlanta, What do you think, what was the switch that was flipped that all of a sudden that spurred this 12-game winning streak? Spurred, I said spurred there. But ever since that game in Atlanta, what do you think what do you think led to this 12-game winning streak for the Knicks?
Well, I think it goes similar to what I was just talking about with San Antonio. Think about those first 3 games of the series with Atlanta, and even the next couple, but Mikal Bridges couldn't make a shot. He couldn't make any of his open looks. Landry Shamet wasn't coming off the bench and knocking down threes at this rate. Like, a lot of these guys, they're just shooting far better. But I think the biggest actual change that we've seen, tangible, was putting the ball in Karl Anthony Towns' hands and letting him be more of a facilitator. And Mike Brown and his staff deserve a ton of credit. And, again, the much more efficient offense has now affected their defense in a positive way because they've gotten set defensively a lot more. And they're still an excellent defensive team when they're set in the half court because of the individual defense of guys like Hart, Anunoby, and Bridges. And then coming off the bench, Mitchell Robinson, and the way that Deuce McBride can play on-ball defense, and Jose Alvarado, they've really stepped up on that end. But I really do think that it comes down to both Cat being empowered and feeling like a great part of it, Mike Brown not giving up on Mikal Bridges and empowering him despite his slump to start the playoffs, and then everybody else kind of falls into the right place from there. But everybody is playing in their role at the highest possible level at this point, and I think when you put those pieces together, you're really seeing what they can be when they're whole, which is dominant. And that's what they've been really since that third game in Atlanta.
You mentioned Brunson hunting out matchups, getting Castle off him. Do you think that they have to put Harper in a little bit more in that late game situation because he's a better defender than Fox? And that's probably a tough thing to do, but do you think that would make a difference?
Well, I certainly think it would make a difference on the offensive end, just based on what we saw from Harper in that game one. He was sensational, and he's been sensational the entire postseason run so far. He's made so many critical plays in so many critical moments, but I think his rim pressure keeps defenses on their heels, and they said it on the broadcast the other day, and I tend to agree. De'Aaron Fox has been playing through some legit injuries, and I think it's clearly taking a toll on his gifts, which are his speed and quickness, his explosiveness. He's just not his normal explosive self. And so if you're not going to get that level of explosion out of a guy like De'Aaron Fox, then I think you probably need to reassess. And I'm sure that Mitch Johnson and his staff already have a feeling, hey, this guy Dylan Harper is ready for these big moments. We've got to get him in there. But I think it's more than just Harper. It felt like Cornette was getting hunted defensively a lot in game one. So how do you make an adjustment there? It felt like Carter Bryant was struggling, and actually Bryant got in there in the first half. Brunson had done nothing, and they put Bryant on Brunson, and he scores 3 straight buckets, and it felt like that got him a rhythm. And so I do think it's going to be really interesting to see the substitution pattern tonight versus what we saw on Wednesday night.
Let's talk about Mike Brown for a second. Now, Mike Brown he's been a pretty successful coach, as an assistant and all that. But a lot of Knicks fans were, for the most case, kind of furious or shocked when they fired Tibbs at the end of last year. Are you a little surprised how, Mike Brown has the Knicks on this historic run? And we know he's a decent coach, but did you expect something like this?
Well, I mean, look, guys, the experience matters. I think that getting different experiences and different points of view can really showcase itself in interesting ways. And for Mike Brown, you think about all the experience he's gone through. He was on the other side of this with the young, up-and-coming next face of the NBA and LeBron James in 2007 when they went to the NBA Finals. And, of course, they lost to the San Antonio Spurs. So he saw what that was like, and he can probably put his own perspective into what Mitch Johnson's going through as the young up-and-coming coach for the young up-and-coming star of the NBA. I think on top of that, you go through the rest of his career and all of the little moments that he's had, whether he was a head coach when the Lakers needed him to try to catapult them back, and that team just wasn't ill-equipped. They were ill-equipped, I should say, to do so in L.A. Then his time as an assistant in Golden State and all that he learned through those incredible teams with Steve Kerr and the other great minds around them like Kenny Atkinson and many others that were there over the course of that time. And then you think about his time in Sacramento and taking a team that had not gone to the playoffs in almost 2 decades, getting them into the postseason and losing in 7 games to that same Warriors team. It's just, I think you start to accumulate all of these experiences and you utilize that in your bank. And so now he's got so much built up in that bank. Now you can take some deposits, and I think that's what we're seeing, that for most of the regular season, he was feeling the team out and vice versa. You get to the postseason, and now he's showcasing all of that knowledge that he's built up and decades inside the NBA.
So I want to ask you about Wemby, 22 years old and a superstar, but I do think at times he falls a little bit too much in love with the three, and he allows the guys like Anunoby, Bridges, Hart to check him up top 30 feet from the hoop. We're going to see a little more rim pressure from him tonight?
Yeah, I think it's interesting with him because I understand it's easy to just say that the threes. I think that it's how he's taking the threes. We saw it late in the game the other day. He had one in rhythm in the fourth quarter to keep it close as it was potentially going to get out of hand, eventually spurred them into a nice run. But it was in rhythm, right? He caught it. There was no hesitation. He let it fly. That's when he's successful on the outside. Even that 35, 40-footer, whatever it was in game one of the conference finals, with them down by 3 in overtime, that was a dribble in rhythm in transition, and it was good. And same with the half-court shot. So he's more than capable. I think the problem is, to your point, where you watch and you go, what are you doing, is where he's standing, trying to decide what to do, and now step back three. That's not necessarily what's going to get him to be at a high level of success. When he's shooting aggressively without thinking in rhythm, I'm all about him shooting it from the outside. But otherwise, to your point, yes, try to get inside. He really operates from the elbows. He can drive. He's got so many angles that nobody else can come up with, and he follows his shot at as high a level as anybody in the NBA. So if he can be aggressive, it really always comes down to him setting the tone for level of aggression and purpose for the rest of his team. He's going to have to do that very early tonight, and I expect he will.
Can you say right now that it's possible Wemby may be the face of the NBA, especially maybe going into next year?
Yes, 100%.
And also want to ask you, as far as the Knicks, back to the Knicks for a second, they've had a lot of great teams in the past. The 90s, Patrick Ewing and John Starks and Charles Oakley, and even back into the 70s. So if the Knicks are able to finish off this historic run, say sweep, even 1 in 5, where would this rank the Knicks as far as all those great teams, this Knicks team, and where would you put Jalen Brunson as far as some people are saying he could be, if he sweeps, there's people calling him the best Knicks player ever. I mean, where do you stand on that, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's certainly already, in my opinion, probably in the top 5 all-time Knicks without the title, just for what he's done for the organization, how he's brought them back to not just relevance, but title contention every year. It's a huge deal, and he has been awesome in the big moments. His playoff performances have spoken for themselves over the last couple of years. So he's high on that list. To say that he's number 1, I mean, look, Clyde won 2 titles as a starting point guard. Obviously, Ewing is still beloved in the city. And when I was there for Game 2 of the Atlanta series and they showed everybody, Clyde got a great ovation, but nobody got a louder ovation than Patrick Ewing. So if we're going off of popularity and how they're viewed in New York, he's still super high. But you would put Brunson in that discussion with any of them, and I think there would be a lot of people around New York right now that would be more than happy to say he's the greatest Knick ever if that happens. But I'd say let's see what happens first. But, this team, if they could complete it, I mean, it's one of the great, historically speaking, it's one of the great postseason runs in NBA history, not just modern NBA history. The level in which they beat teams, their point differential, it's historically great. And so I think that has to go into consideration. The teams in 70 and 73 were obviously incredible, and winning 2 titles in a span of a couple of years is a huge deal. The teams in the 90s with Ewing and Starks and Oakley and Mason and Harper, and they were great too. And the 99 team with Sprewell and Houston and an older Ewing and that Larry Johnson, that team was awesome too. So there are so many iterations. I think a lot of people still love Linsanity and would rate that incredibly high. It's just, I think it's all based on personal preference at that point, and I'd say that most Knicks fans would probably agree.
Has there been a Linsanity sighting at the Garden this postseason? I don't think. No,
I think he's doing TV. He's doing ESPN now.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think he'll be there for Game 3.
Yeah, Game 3 at the Garden on, what was that, Monday night is going to be rocking. No doubt about it.
Donald Trump's supposed to be there.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many celebrities. Obviously, Ben Stiller out there, and the list goes on and on. But, hey, back to Brunson real quick. We know you got to run just a couple more minutes here with the great Noah Eagle from NBC and Peacock on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene on WILI. Brunson, and I watched him in college. My dad's a Villanova grad. That's why, as a Boston fan, I can't really hate on these Knicks with Brunson, Hart, and Bridges. You kind of, it's like, and Jan has brought up, as a Celtic fan, the Knicks haven't really been a threat to the Celtics, although last year was kind of a year I'd like to forget. But Brunson and his level of difficulty with these shots, especially the other night, continues to impress. And I remember I go, he didn't do that against UConn a lot, watching Villanova. But he's really stepped it up with, I just can't get over, especially down the stretch, some of those shots. And if you could talk a little about that, and then the whole Villanova connection is really kind of gelled and helped the Knicks gel in that scenario. Wouldn't you agree?
No doubt. I think that the familiarity aspect, and even when they had Dante DiVincenzo, you could feel that. You had Mikal Bridges with Hart and Brunson. They had Ryan Arcidiacono for a little while as well. So they were heavily influenced. But you mentioned the degree of difficulty of his shots. It goes back to what he learned at Villanova, and that's playing off of 2 feet. His footwork, again, is the best in the NBA at this current juncture, I would say. But his fundamentals are so good, partly because of his dad, Rick, and partly because of his college coach, Jay Wright. And to me, Jay Wright's fingerprints are all over the NBA, but certainly with what the Knicks have done in this run, I think so much credit goes to the way that Jay Wright developed talent. Because all these guys, they weren't one-and-dones. Stephon Castle, UConn, won a title. He's a one-and-done. These other guys, Brunson was there 3 years, won 2 titles. Mikal Bridges redshirted before he ever saw the court and was there then for 3 years. Josh Hart was there for all 4 years. These guys were there and developed over time in college. So I think Jay Wright deserves a ton of credit for the players that they've become just as much as their NBA training staff. Jalen Brunson was an elite high school player, but he was never going to be a one-and-done guy. He won a title his freshman year. He came back, he got better, and then he came back again, and he was National Player of the Year. So, again, I give him so much credit for the way that he handled all of their careers and understanding that they were all different as well. One of these guys was ready with Jalen Brunson to see the court right away. Some of the other ones, like Mikal Bridges, need a little bit more development, but the path is unique, and the path leads them all to the same place.
No, a non-NBA Finals question. You're a young guy, but you've already done a lot of different sports, a lot of different teams. What would be the one game, one event that you would love to call?
Thank you, Jan. I wanted to ask that. I'm glad he's asking that. Yeah, what was the best game in your young successful career that you've called so far?
And what would you want to call?
Yeah, I would tell you it's hard to pick against. In terms of the ones I've already done, it's hard to pick against. Those Olympic basketball games were pretty incredible. And USA versus Serbia, crazy comeback against Jokic, and then USA versus France, both men and women for gold medals. Those were unbelievable atmospheres in Paris. That's definitely hard to top, although I did the largest comeback in NFL history. That was a pretty remarkable one. And then, there are just certain games that stick with you, like even Thunder Nuggets this year was just super fun. SGA ties Wilt Chamberlain's record and then hits a game winner. Those are just the types that stick with you. But I always say, and this is not BS or anything, but it's just how I've always felt, that I'm so fortunate to have done as much great stuff as I've already gotten to do. The hope is that I just get to keep adding. And so whatever that looks like, that's always going to be what I want to do and what I'm hoping to do. But if there's the one event, it is the NBA Finals. I love the NBA, grew up a massive NBA fan. I got to call a Super Bowl on Nickelodeon, and that was like a bucket list check off. And so for me, it's probably the NBA Finals.
No, I was thrilled when you texted me back yesterday. Thank you so much. I've been pumped all week and speaking for Jan, Nick, and myself, and we can't thank you enough for coming on here. And always been a big fan of you and your father, and a big fan of the Eagle family. Thank you so much, Noah.
You got it. No, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Thank you.
Goes Noah Eagle from NBC and Peacock right here on WILI.
Awesome.
Duncan Friday Sports Scene. I couldn't wait to text you guys. I'm like, we got Noah Eagle. So, we got a couple minutes left here, but might as well just And thank you, Jan. That was actually in my head earlier today to ask that, and that's a good way to go out. So, boy, for 29 years old, what a resume so
very
far.
impressive. And even
My God.
even talking with us though, he's got the voice for it. He's got the almost like the presence, if you will, for it.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
So
awesome.
well spoken. Of course, a Syracuse grad. You know, another product of Syracuse.
Yeah, like when I first time I heard him call a game was the Olympics basketball, and I heard his name, and I was like, I wonder if he's related. And that's so I look him up, and I was like, oh, no way. But despite who his dad is, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Like his voice, and he's so great at
And
it.
he touches the younger demographic too, because he's not a lot of Nickelodeon stuff when they do.
Right.
Didn't they do like during the NFL playoffs?
Yeah, that's hard for me to watch. I flipped through it and I flipped it on a
I
little
just
bit.
flipped on to hear Noah. I'm like, Noah Eagle, I'm gonna watch.
yeah.
But he's done a lot of Big East too. I'm sure Wayno's bumped into him, and so if we had time, I would have got into. But we mainly wanted to hit NBA Finals. But he's probably done his fair share of UConn games too, along with his father, and because I think he's done FS1 too. Well, anyway, no NBC. Of course, Big East is on that network as well. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But great job. So, any predictions for Game 2 tonight before we close up shop here?
I'm going to go with a Knicks sweep. I guess but don't listen to me because I've been wrong every step of the way. But to me, they just look so dominant, and I thought that was the game for them to lose. And I think they are going to be up 2-0, and then I think lights out. So tonight's the night for the series.
Nick?
I actually think the Spurs will win tonight, but I think the Knicks are going to win it in 5.
I'm for once because I know Jan and I sometimes don't always. I don't think we've agreed on. I'm going with the Knicks sweep as well because I'm officially on the believing bandwagon, quote unquote. I just think they're pushing all the right buttons. Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Anunoby. They're Cat's the key player in the series. I agree with Nick. I agree with Jan. I'm thinking Knicks here. I think the Knicks are going to sweep. So, and you got to chalk it up as one of the historic runs. Maybe we'll never see something like this again.
Well, it does seem like destiny, and it is like time for them to win almost too. It seems like it's meant to be.
Well, yeah, why not? Luck could be lucky number 13 in a row could happen tonight. So that'll do it for the Duncan Friday Sports Scene for this June the 5th. For Jan Koivisto, the coach from the Chronicle, and Nick Erlinson, Bill O'Connor, and of course Noah Eagle and J. Matt Rupar. Thank you for listening, and don't forget, check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe for free, WILI Radio. Search for it. You can hopefully watch a show over the weekend. Enjoy the weekend, and thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.